Hello, my friends. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm filming this on Thanksgiving morning. I'm not sure when it will come out, either today or tomorrow. Probably most likely tomorrow morning, but happy belated Thanksgiving. I hope you guys had a good one with your family or friends or by yourself or whatever you're doing. Um, we're going to talk about my favorite CIVIVIs today. First of all, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and push the button. Why not? Follow me on Instagram at duties_daggers as well. So, my favorite CIVIVIs. I like CIVIVI knives. This CIVIVI right here, the Praxis, was my first one ever. Um, and actually, it was one of my first knives ever. I don't really count before I started getting into knives because before that, I really just carried whatever they had at Big Five or any sporting goods store, cheap Kershaw or Gerber's. So I don't really count those. I count my first knife as when I first started researching and, realizing that there were actually different blade steels that were better than others and, all that stuff. So, um, yeah, this is one of my first knives ever, the Praxis. They make really good knives. They are very well priced, and there's a lot of quality that you're getting for that price. And that's one of the reasons why they're really popular. They make really, really good budget knives. And some knives that are in the higher end of budget. The most expensive knife here, I believe, is the Conspirator, and I think they're around 80 bucks. This Altus is around 70, I believe. I'll link all these below so you can go check them out yourself. But I wonder what the most expensive CIVIVI is. I should have looked that up. But they're mostly budget. They range from anywhere from 45 to 85 and maybe a little bit over. So yeah, they're really popular because they make good stuff. Um, let's take a look at some of these. So I guess we'll start with the Praxis since it was my first CIVIVI and one of my first knives. This one I kind of carved into the G10 a little bit. I got bored one day and tried to make it look cooler. I'm not sure if it actually does or not, but actually pretty good timing that we're talking about the Praxis because they just released a mini Praxis, which is the exact same knife, just shrunken down. And I believe it's a pretty good price too. I think it's pretty cheap. So I think I'll probably pick one of those up because I still really like this knife. Um, some people call this the kind of a budget shaman, Spyderco shaman. And I see where they're coming from. It's a really ergonomic handle, kind of a broad, sort of a leaf-shaped blade. Choke up spot, really good ergos. I could see the similarities. I think it's a little bit of a stretch, but it has a lot of the good qualities that the shaman has. We got G10 handles. We have a satin finish on the blade. I think the thing that I like most about this is the blade shape. And let me let my dog out as usual. Come on, buddy. Let's go. Come on. You can't sit there and whine all day. So, yeah. The blade shape on the Praxis is really great. This is a fantastic work knife. I still carry this from time to time as a beater knife, but I mean the grind on this thing is really nice. It comes down really nice and thin, just a nice aggressive flat grind. But the blade stock is really thin as well, so this thing passes through material very very easily. It's a drop point, but it's close to a spear point. So you have a relatively low tip for getting your utility cuts. We have a couple finger grooves here for choking back, and choking up is super duper comfortable too. I didn't have to enlarge this sharpening choil or finger choil at all. It just comes like this with enough room for your finger to comfortably sit in there, so that's awesome. I actually added some jimping up here, some kind of Vox style jimping for my thumb when I'm choked up, so that's always an option. If you feel confident enough to try to cut in some jimping, you can do that. It's a liner lock, obviously. Deep carry pocket clip. I'm not a huge fan of this clip. It just doesn't aesthetically look great to me, but it absolutely works actually very well. You have a little spot for a lanyard back there. Just a really comfortable, straightforward, good slicer. And the action is really nice too. It was a bit smoother when I first got it. I've had this for so long and used it so much that it's kind of roughed up a little bit. But you can tell, a couple shakes, it falls right down. Really nice snappy detent. Yeah, it's a good knife, man. I believe the full-size one is around 50, 60 bucks. I'm not really going to say the prices on any of these just because I'm not certain, but they are all linked below so you can go check. The flipper tab has jimping on the top of it here. It's a good shaped flipper tab. You can push button it or light switch it, and this is just a really good work knife. I think this is a great entry-level knife, maybe giving as a gift to somebody who needs a good work knife or whatever they're going to use it for, really. But I think this is a good entry-level knife. CIVIVI Praxis. All right, let's move on. Sorry. Let's talk about the Elementum real quick. Now, this is not actually one of my favorite CIVIVIs. I put it out here just because I have it. It's a CIVIVI. This is the only one out of the group here that I am not a huge fan of. It's a really popular knife, and I see why. I see the reasons why it's so popular, but I guess it's just not for me. But let's go over it. We have a flipper tab only, and I will say the detent on this thing is really, really perfect. I cannot feel this thing however hard I try. It's impossible to do. It's just it's really, really a perfect detent. It's not too stiff to where it hurts your finger, but it's just stiff enough to super duper reliably deploy. So that is a good thing about it. It's absolutely got its perks, but it's just not for me overall. The liners are shadow boxed with the scale here, so they're kind of sticking out a little bit past the scale, so you get that kind of shadow boxing effect, which I like. It's a liner lock. I think the blade is really what people like a lot about this, and if this blade was on a little bit of a different design, I think I would like it a lot more, because this blade really is a very, very good blade. You have a hollow grind, thin edge, spear point / drop point, just a really, really versatile blade. I like how it looks. I like the hollow grind. We have a good sharpening choil here. It really is a good blade. Relatively thin blade stock. With that hollow grind, it's going to be a good slicer. Just really good kind of overall EDC blade. There is a choke up spot too, which is pretty comfortable. It's kind of like finger choil / flipper tab area here, but it absolutely works fine. You don't feel crammed in there at all. I like that. Deep carry pocket clip, typical CIVIVI. Not my favorite, but they work just fine. Spot for a lanyard. So I think it's just it doesn't have enough spice for me. It's just I don't know. Maybe that's why I don't like it that much. It's just a little too plain. But if you're looking for plain and simple, just a really good knife, then the Elementum might be for you. This one's in D2, but they have upgraded versions and better steels. They have a ton of different handle materials, different color micarta, G10, even copper, all kinds of stuff. I actually saw that they just started selling frag pattern titanium scales for the Elementum, and they're pretty cheap too. They're only like around 60 bucks. And I thought about it for a second, because I think I would, well, I know I would like this knife more if it had some frag pattern titanium scales on it. But I don't think I will get them. I just don't like the knife enough to want to upgrade it in that way. But if you like the Elementum, frag pattern titanium scales will really, really add to this thing and make it even better for sure. So that's the CIVIVI Elementum, the only one of this group that I am not a huge fan of. Let's talk about some button locks. So I have two here. two CVV button locks here. I have tried the other ones, or the other main ones in their lineup. I just don't own them anymore. I kind of wish I did because I do like them. I stupidly traded and sold them off. But here I have the CIVIVI Conspirator and the CIVIVI Altus, which I both like very, very much. Really, really like these knives. Now, the other two main button locks in their lineup is the Cogent and the Chevalier, or Chevalier, however you want to say that. The Chevalier is a sheep's foot style button lock, and the Cogent is a clip point / drop point button lock, a little bit smaller than the Conspirator, but a full size knife. And both of them I liked a lot. I like the Cogent a little bit more than the Chevalier, but these two are my absolute favorite of the four. I got the wood scaled version of the Conspirator. It also comes in micarta. I don't think they have a G10 one though, which is kind of weird. We have a flipper tab for deployment and a fuller that's on both sides. I put a lanyard on this one. I just think the wood looks really nice. This is actually not the clip that came with it. This is off of a different knife, but the one that comes with it is similar to this one. It's just a little bit longer, I think. You could put a titanium one. I actually had one of these titanium ones on it for a while, but I carry this a lot at work, and for work I kind of like to have a deep carry clip on it. So that's the reasoning for that. The blade shape is really, really excellent on this guy. It's thin at the edge, just a nice broad blade, drop point, lower tip. The action is decent. The detent, or the bar, or the plunge lock here that serves as the detent, is a little bit weak. But with the reverse flicking action, it really doesn't bother me too much. It feels weak on the flipper tab, but you give it a little bit of effort and it'll absolutely deploy every time easily. The closing action, you have a completely free swinging blade with that button depressed. So as far as the button goes, really, really nice. That fuller works very well for the reverse flick. One thing I didn't like too much about the Chevalier with the other button lock, the sheep's foot one, it has a fuller as well, but it's a little bit more narrow than this one here, and it was a little bit hard to get your finger in there. So I really like this wider fuller on the Conspirator. Kind of a neutral handle shape here, not a lot going on, but that means that it's going to be really comfortable. No hot spots whatsoever. I did actually enlarge my sharpening choil / finger choil area just a little bit. It didn't need a lot, but I did enlarge it a little bit so I could more easily choke up, more comfortably choke up. I like the stonewashing on this blade. It's kind of a gray stonewashing. I think it looks nice. This is a good knife. This is another really good work knife. I actually carry this a lot at work. The wood is holding up well against the abuse that I put it through at work, which isn't crazy, but it's whatever your typical work day would look like. This is a good one. I have minor lock stick on the button, but it's broken in quite nicely, and it doesn't bother me anymore. You can swing it out like this. I mean, this thing is just so smooth. So freaking smooth. Look at that. Oh, yeah. And then we have the CIVIVI Altus. Now, this one, gosh, if I had to pick between these two, it would be really tough. I like the Altus so much. In fact, if I was forced to pick, I would probably choose it over the Conspirator. And there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, the detent is much better. It's actually snappy, which is kind of hard to do with a button lock because there's not an actual detent ball in there. But this one, I mean, hopefully you can tell by the video, it's just so easy to pop out, so easy to reverse flick. And I like a button lock with thumb studs because what happens is you deploy the blade, your thumb's kind of already right here. All you have to do is move it over to the button, and close it. So you can open and close this thing super fast, which is fun to do. Just kind of fidgeting around, you know. It's a medium-sized knife, but I can still get a full grip on it. Now, the only negative to it is the bead blast on the blade. I do not like bead blasts. I wish it was a satin or tumbled or anything other than a bead blast. But I like the knife so much that it's okay. So that says something about the design. It's just a really nice, clean, sleek design. Another slight downside is not much of a sharpening choil here. So that's another downside. But again, I like the knife so much that it doesn't really bother me. Let me let my dog in. He's scratching at the door. Okay, come on. You gotta choose in or out. You can't do both, buddy. So yeah, excellent knife. I put the black titanium pocket clip on this guy. Looks really nice with it. Just kind of goes with the whole sleek, kind of clean design. This is so nice, man. It makes a good sound too. It makes like a you know what I mean? Just good sounds, man. I really like this knife. Really like it. Nice blade shape. Spear point / drop point. Probably a drop point. This is a great one. CIVIVI Altus. Excuse me. All right, let's talk. Let's see. Which one should we do next? Yeah, let's do this one. The CIVIVI Lumi. I've been talking about this one a lot recently, so I'll be quick. This is a really fun little small kind of sleek carry knife. It's a top flipper. I have the titanium clip on mine, and this thing's just really fun. It's hollow ground, very thin, slicey blade, very pointy. This thing is just a really good letter opener, package opener, really light duty stuff. But it's just so fun to pop out. The top flipper is super duper easy to use. You don't really need to put pressure down on it. All you do is put your thumb on this jimping here, put a little bit of pressure, and just roll it back. And this thing just flies out. It's so fun. You can do it this way too, super duper easily. This is just a really fun knife. Just a nice, really light duty knife. You even have a pretty decent sharpening choil there, so that's a great addition. G10. The blade steel is 14C28N. Oh, have I mentioned the blade steels at all? Gosh. Both these are Nitro V. Both these button locks are Nitro V steel, which I like. The Elementum was D2, I think I said that, and then the Praxis was, I think, 9CR 18 MOV. 9CR 18 MOV. So the Lumi, yeah, this is a Justin Lundquist design. You could probably tell by looking at it. This is a really fun one. I'm really glad I got this. CIVIVI Lumi. And then my most recent CIVIVI purchase, the CIVIVI Imperium. I'm liking this thing. This is my first experience with CIVIVI's Damascus. I haven't sharpened it yet, and I haven't used it a whole lot, but it seems, the edge seems to be holding up well. Again, I put those titanium clips on this one. It's a thumb stud and front flipper design for deployments, and I wish the detent was slightly stronger, but I mean, honestly, it's pretty decent. I just got my thumbnail a little bit there. The thumb studs work great, easy to reverse flick, easy to front flip too. Again, not the snappiest front flipper ever, but it is really easy to deploy. You can do the reach around or the side flick easily. Very smooth on the drop, super duper smooth. This is a cool one. The micarta was not the best quality. I was a little disappointed on the quality of the micarta. It was similar to the stuff on the Elementum here, just not really good stuff. It's plastic. It feels plasticky and kind of just crappy. This here on the bed glider is an example of good micarta. You can feel those fibers. You can tell the difference just by looking at the two here, probably. So a little bit disappointed on the on the micarta, but I ended up sanding it a little bit, so it feels a lot better in the hand now. And I think with use, it will kind of get better over time. But they do have this in a couple different versions, so you can go check that out. This is a cool one, kind of a slim, kind of gentleman's carry style knife. You do have a choke up spot too, though. Yeah, just a kind of a thin, sleek design. Pretty thin at the edge, drop point. I think all these knives are drop points. Just a pretty cool design. I like it. You know, just a good kind of slim, light to medium duty knife. CIVIVI Imperium. And that's about it. These are my favorite CIVIVIs. Now there are a couple other out there that I have my eye on that that I want to pick up at some point. But well, we'll take that one out. that one's not the favorite in the favorite club. But I really love these. If I were to pick one, I would probably pick the Altus. Well, I don't know. I go back and forth between these two. But CIVIVI just makes really good button locks, man. I've tried Kaiser button locks, which is kind of one of their competitors for, budget style button locks. And I like CIVIVI's better. It mostly has to do with the button. CIVIVI's buttons are nicely flush with the scale here in the closed position. There's not a lot of travel that you need to push on the, there's not a lot of travel on the button to get the blade to close. They're already kind of recessed back in there. It seemed like, at least on the the two models that I tried of Kaiser's, their buttons sticked out a little farther. There was more travel on the button, so just not quite as easy to use. Not quite as smooth. I really like how they kind of dish out their buttons a little bit. You can see that, hopefully. They're a little bit dished out, so it just feels good on your thumb. They do a really good job. They're all super solidly locked up. I've had a couple with some lock stick right out of the box, but it always works itself out. It always goes away over time. I mean, look how fun this thing is. I get to do this for so long. It's so fun. So fun. All right. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, there's so many CIVIVI knives. If none of these are speaking to you, there's so many. So go take a look. And take a look at these with the links down below. If you do decide to buy one, use my links, and it'll help me out a little bit. Yeah, that'll about do it. Thanks for watching, folks. Have a very nice Thanksgiving. I hope that your Thanksgiving was good, if it's already passed. And I'll see you in the next video. Adios.